So I wanted to talk about these few different observances that the people, are observing today from the Dhamma point of view. And I wanted to start first with also today is Father's Day. Now, of course, Mother's Day was last month. And the father and mother are considered, in the Dhamma to be, our first teachers. And there's a very strong karmic link why our mind from the past life has somehow arisen in the womb of our, current mother, or, the parents, the mother and father. And so the mother and father, this leads to the actually gratitude, because the mother and father spend 20 or so years sacrificing their own lives, what they like to do, all more or less for the children. So gratitude is a very important part of the Dhamma teachings. And so on this Father's Day as well as Mother's Day, but today being Father's Day, to reflect, whether your father is still living or they've passed on, just to remember them and to have gratitude for what all the pleasant memories, maybe some not so pleasant memories, but whatever, all parents kind of do their best according to their own karmic conditions to raise their children. But so having the gratitude is a good quality, a wholesome quality of mind, of course, not only for the parents, but for anybody else who, helps a person along, get through their life in different ways. But especially the mother and the father, the strongest karmic link we have is the parents. And the Buddha said that even if you were to carry your mother or father on your shoulders for the last 20 years of their life, you would not repay the kindness and all the help that they gave to you from your birth until you finally left the house and went on your own. So that reflection on the gratitude is also an aspect of knowing of you could reflect on it in terms of the no self, that no one is an kind of lives on their own, or no one can get by on their own. And all through our life we've been helped, and so every person is helped in different ways by different people. So to have that gratitude, the humbleness and the gratitude, but especially for the parents, and to pay your respects to them, or to help them now that they might be in their old age, sort of the Buddhist trait to try to help them in whatever way one is possible. And they have their own karma to work out, but they took on your own karma for 20 years in raising you, and hopefully put you on the right path. And I can also reflect back on my own mother and father and see all the ways that they helped me, and to finally gave me the freedom to travel to Asia, and finally accepted what kind of path I took in life. So anyway, that's one thing, how we can reflect, or you can send metta, in your meditations today to your father, even if they've passed away. Most likely they've been reborn in some other realm, hopefully another human birth or in a heavenly realm, but of course we don't know. Everyone fares on according to their karma. And then that comes to our each person's birthday. So that whenever we have a birthday, it's a good time to reflect on, how we have used this birth so far and what we have done with our life so far to hopefully progress. Because according to the Dhamma point of view, I mean, even the purpose of life, a lot of people don't really question that, what is the real purpose of life? Why was I born? And a lot of people say, well, most people just say, well, because your mother and father, got together and, they produced a baby, and, most people don't question it. But from the Dhamma point of view, each birth is like a schoolroom or a classroom that hopefully we grow in our mental qualities and grow and develop our mental qualities of the spiritual faculties of, or at least the good qualities of kindness, friendliness, and developing our mind in, along the spiritual lines, not just using the life to eat, drink, and be merry and lead a selfish kind of life, but using it to repay that kindness of our parents or the others who have helped us in the various things that we've done with our life, and either repaying them in actual deeds or just in the practice of sending metta and compassion to all these people, reflecting on their kindness and, wherever they might be. Of course, you may not have any contact to them now, but to at least to cultivate those thoughts and to send out those thoughts. So, and of course, along with life comes death. And so with each birthday, actually, should be a time to reflect, even during this last year, what have I done? What kind of progress have I made in the practice of Dhamma? In other words, how much progress have I made in weakening my selfish greed and anger and hatred and sensual lust and desires, and or how many people I've hurt or so on during this last year, and then to forgive others that might have hurt you, ask their forgiveness if you might have done something for them. So all these type of reflections are good to do, especially on your birthday, if not every day, of course, but especially on the birthday, and reflect and that, 1 year has passed and that's one less year you have to live. So really reflecting on death in the same way, and we're 1 year closer to death. Of course, we don't know when that will come, but the whole point is to use this next year to make further progress. So many of you can reflect back in your years. I mean, you've all been practicing Dhamma and meditation for, 15, 20, 30 or more years, and you can see what kind of progress, help, and benefit and progress that you've made through your practice of meditation and studying the Dhamma, practicing the Noble Eightfold Path. And so, you can see that you have gained some benefits from it. And so to redouble one's efforts, and especially if one has kind of slacked off a little bit in their practice, to rekindle the spiritual faculties of faith, energy, mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. So these are the kind of reflections that we should reflect upon on our birthday. That, what have we done in the last year? And you can see some people are trying to increase their time that they can sit in meditation, for example. So maybe they were able to increase their time that they can sit easily in meditation from, initially 10, 15 minutes up to, maybe 45 minutes or an hour, or maybe you're trying to sit in the lotus posture. And you realize that you've been able to now sit in a lotus posture for close to an hour or something. So, even though these are kind of somewhat material things, they do have effect. That energy that you put into the practice has effect, on the mind. So this is how, whenever your birthday comes up is a good time to, reflect like that and take stock, and then redouble one's effort or commitment to even make more progress in this next year. Because again, we don't know how long we're going to live. And the old saying that tomorrow or the next life, we don't know which is going to come first. So the recollection of that inevitability of death is very important, especially for people who tend to get a little lazy and slack off on the practice, because once you get older and you get more feeble or prone to more sickness, then it's going to even be that more difficult to have the energy to practice. And you all know it takes a lot of energy to practice the Dhamma, to be mindful, to remind yourself, that's a little bit unwholesome, that's, or to slow down when you're rushing around, and to have that mindfulness. It takes a lot of, effort. That's why right understanding, right mindfulness, and right effort are the three pillars of the Eightfold Path to help weaken negative states that have arisen, and for keeping them from arising in the future, and for striving to attain that which is not yet realized or attained. Anyway, so those are just some thoughts. Those are thoughts that I reflect on myself, every year, or even every day. One can do that even on a daily basis. Now, the other important event that's being celebrated nowadays on June 21st is the International Day of Yoga. Now, this was instituted through the UN by the current, I think, president, prime minister, or whatever it is, Modi of India, maybe some years ago. But it's also interesting that it falls on this day. It happens to coincide with my birthday, but that's probably just by a circumstance or chance. But anyway, so to reflect on the meaning of yoga. Now, most people know when you hear the word yoga, most people immediately start seeing people doing exercises and reflect on the yoga asanas and pranayama that are so popular, these days. But of course, that's only one aspect of yoga. And yoga and meditation really are almost really the same. And the word, even though the Buddha used the term, yoga vacharas. In Burma, people that practice vipassana meditation at certain centers, they're called yogis. So the actual word yoga means to, yoke the mind to its meditation subject, or to bring two separate objects, bring them together to make one. So it actually came from the image of two oxen who are drawing an ox cart. If you've been to India, and they have this big heavy wooden yoke on each neck, keeping them together so that they walk in unison and are able to pull the heavy cart. So anyway, that yoke, it means yoke the mind to really the present moment. So it also means the union of the dualities. You know, almost everything in the world is a duality. There's black and there's white, there's tall and there's short, there's smart and not so smart, there's foolish and wise. You know, every beautiful, ugly, pleasure, pain, everything is seen as a duality. And most people's minds are constantly being pulled back and forth between these kind of dualistic thoughts and their reactions. And most of our karmic activities are based on either trying to get a hold of what is pleasurable or beautiful or nice or whatever we like, and then the struggle to keep away what is unpleasant or what we don't like, or pain. So what I so often refer to as the tug of war between pleasure and pain. And that's what, all of our karma is created around that. And what either brings us our suffering or happiness too. So I wanted to talk about especially the three levels of the yoga. And again, the yoga is about bringing the dualities or the opposites together. And ultimately, it also is the present moment. So there's, I like to talk about it in three ways, or the three stages of yoga. And when I say yoga, I'm also meaning meditation, and especially the insight meditation, but the practices of both samatha and vipassana. Because even in the jhana practice, you're also bringing the mind back into unification, a state of unification of mind. Actually, that's the definition of the third and the fourth jhana, a unification of mind and equanimity. It's basically resting in the present moment. But especially from the vipassana, mindfulness vipassana practice, the first stage of the meditation is to bring the mind back into the body. So that's what I call the first stage of yoga. Because usually our body's doing one thing. It might be sitting here, but how many times in the last 10 minutes has your mind already thought briefly about something you have to do tonight, or what happened yesterday, or something else? And then in our busy days, our mind is, we're only brought back to the body if we get a pain somewhere, or stumble and fall down, or, usually our mind is lost in a whole number of thoughts. So, but especially in meditation, the first stage of yoga or mindfulness practice is to bring the mind back into the body. So when the body is sitting, the mind is also sitting. That means the awareness of sitting. Or when you're breathing in, knowing that you're breathing in, knowing that you're breathing out, knowing that you're sitting, knowing when a hindrances arise. When you start to feel drowsy, that knowing mind, sleepy, sleepy, or restless, restless, or, anger, anger, to identify. So even when you can identify the various types of thoughts, that is the present moment awareness. even if there's thoughts going through your mind, as long as you're aware of them and you're not getting pulled into the past or the future, your mind is still in the present moment, because it's the awareness that's the present moment. But usually when we experience an object, then we're not able to stay in that awareness. We get pulled out by these, pleasure and pain and the dualities, and getting caught up in thoughts about them, and we lose that awareness. So anyway, so the first stage of yoga is bringing the mind back into the body to get reconnected to the natural present moment awareness that's always there as the deepest sort of vibration of consciousness. And then once the mind is brought back into the body, that means even while, feeling the breathing, the in and out breathing, the expanding and contracting, you can, feel, get a sense of that whole outline of the body, or that I, try to encourage people to try to, cultivate that kind of body awareness, whole body awareness. Breathing in, experiencing the whole body, breathing out, experiencing the whole body. So when the mind gets centered in the present moment and has reached, the hindrances have gotten weaker, then the mind becomes like a mirror. And basically, our nervous system is connected to almost all the cells in the body. And so when we're deeply focused, we can feel those vibrations coming from, your toes, your fingers, all different parts of the body, your head, even almost simultaneously. You can feel that. And you get this experience of the mind and the body kind of just being fused together. And that's, that's the experience of, you could say, oneness, but any way, unification of the body in the mind, and that first stage of yoga. And then the second stage is letting go of the past and future. And basically that means to the other sense objects. So your physical body, you can have that sense of, the breathing body, and that sense of just really being grounded in the body, but at the same time, there still could be thoughts moving through the mind, and the mind can still try to get pulled off to the past or the future. So then in, staying with that present moment awareness that's, connected to the body, then anytime when the mind is starting to get pulled in one way or the other, we have to have that mindfulness and to be able to let go of that wandering thought, and to know whether the mind is projecting something in the future or going back to the past. And the mindfulness will help let go of that. So when you're able to let go of all of the different thoughts of the past or future, or not to get carried away by them, then the mind attains even a deeper level of yogic concentration, which would be equal to the state of jhanic level awareness, when you're no longer being pulled out to one's thoughts. Now, there could be thoughts kind of just floating, through this mental space awareness, but they're not, getting stuck anywhere. They're just kind of just bubbles of thought that arise and vanish, and you don't even know what they are, because that awareness is, the function of awareness is whenever it really is aware of something, notices something, that object sort of vanishes. It's only when we don't have the awareness that we get stuck. The ego gets stuck onto the object. So the second level of the yoga is that stage of merging the past and the future, or letting go of the past and the future, so the mind can more fully rest in the present moment at a much deeper level, even as just feeling kind of the sense of the whole body and so on. And then the third level of the stage of yoga is, now even though you've let go of your thoughts, so in the beginning we've let go of all the distractions of the body and attain that inner stillness in the body, where even pains of the body and so on are no longer affecting the mind. And then you let go of any residual or wandering thoughts. But then what remains is a very subtle level of awareness, but the feeling of I am still is there in the back of the awareness. Like when you think you're getting close to a good state of meditation, there's that kind of excitement or that anticipation. Oh, I'm getting good concentration now. So anyway, the sense of I is still there, although it's in a tamed and a very subtle form. It's not like somebody wanting a power trip, but it's still there. And so the ability to pay attention to even that residual kind of I, me, mine awareness that's there in the back, even that has to be let go of in order to reach that deepest level of you could call it oneness, or pure awareness. And we've talked about that in when we were talking about the stages of insight, and especially when you're cultivating the factors of enlightenment and you reach the last stage of concentration and then equanimity. It's at that point where that last little trace of I consciousness can still be there, and to focus one's wisdom on even understanding that as just a conditioned phenomenon, and to allow that to fade away. And that's when that last trace of the I consciousness starts to fade away. That's the the conformity and the change of lineage that we've already talked about. Anyway, so that's really the meditation process follows those three stages of yoga. So when we talk about the International Day of Yoga, even though most people who practice yoga, most people have to start at a pretty basic level. So learning yoga asanas and so on like that is probably where most people start, and that's okay. But they should understand that the real yoga means this process of meditation. But the body is one of the biggest blocks for meditation, and that's why in my own practice, and as I started learning and I started practicing yoga and meditation together, I could understand that for myself in my own practice, how even the practice of keeping the body flexible through various yoga asanas, and developing deep breathing, especially deep rhythmic breathing, being able to slow down one's rate of respiration, being able to hold in the breath and hold out the breath for longer periods of time, that these also have a beneficial effect on the power to concentrate and to reach a, deeper levels of awareness. So but again, the body, if it's stiff and not very flexible, then that's a source of lots of pain. Pain and sleepiness, a lot of it can be accredited, to the energy of the body being blocked, primarily because people don't do the right type of exercises. Their joints are stiff, and because of that, the blood flow is not at its optimal level. And also the nervous system gets impacted by that, by not being able to take deep, slow breaths and, to help, have more life force, vitality, and so on that we get with doing, deep breathing exercises too. I mean, the body lives on, all the cells of the body require the breath and oxygen, but most people, don't breathe sufficiently to do that. And, that's the reason for so many unnecessary problems people have with the body. Anyway, so that's why, the Hatha Yoga was introduced in one way to have people come back to a better state of health, but it's also a way of keeping the mind in the body. So when you're practicing an asana, like holding a position for a longer period of time, then the mind is, you're concentrating in the body on that position, especially on the sensations and so on that are being experienced in that particular posture. So it's the Hatha Yoga itself, if you do it in the right way, it's a concentration exercise and an awareness exercise too. You're concentrating on the posture and you're being aware of the various sensations that are occurring, and you're gaining a very deep level of concentrated awareness. And so, that can be a good way to enter meditation. And so many Westerners have done that, including myself to a certain extent. And then practicing the deeper levels of meditation to then take the mind into even deeper levels. So, even in yoga, they have a branch called Jnana Yoga, which is the yoga of wisdom. So Hatha Yoga is concerned primarily with the body and energies, and Jnana Yoga is the developing of the wisdoms, similar to what is like Vipassana meditation. All those are different concepts and methods are used, but anyway, it's gained, the purpose of gaining knowledge about the mind and the higher realities of consciousness. So anyway, I just wanted to, review and, go over some of these basic ideas that, we've talked about before, but it's always good to, anytime that we have an opportunity to review the Dhamma and review our own work in the Dhamma, or what we are doing to, to make progress and so on. Like, a lot of you, you've been attending these talks or sutta studies for the last 2 or 3 months. You're spending a lot of time, almost 2 hours each time. So, you're putting a lot of effort into that, and and hopefully, you can feel some benefit from doing that. So that's all part of this, this aspect of the right effort, that you have to really put effort into the practice, because an amount that you get out of it is sort of equal to the amount that you put into it. And so I know there's some of you that are practicing very, very much, and I'm sure you're getting a benefit. So to keep reviewing that, and to use these opportunities for birthdays or even deaths, when somebody dies, and say, "Oh, that was too bad." Oh, that could also happen to me. Yeah, somebody dies of this virus, and this is one of your relatives, or you get it yourself, and people die so quickly. So these are all times to reflect on, come back to our life. Because, having a human birth, also coming back to the idea of, our birth. The number of beings that are born as humans are very, very small compared to the amount of beings that are born in animal realms and other realms where the practice of Dhamma is not so readily available, and circumstances for practicing Dhamma are not very good. So, having the opportunity to be born as a human, but then using that human birth in the best possible way to make progress on freeing our mind from greed, hatred, and delusion, and self-created suffering. So friends, that's what I wanted to share with you today. And I'd be happy to try to answer any questions that might have come up before we go into our meditation practice. So I'll look at the chats here and see if there's any questions that have come up. Okay, 3 of those were simply birthday greetings, and I appreciate that. And then somebody else is saying, today is the longest day of the year, World Music Day. Well, I didn't know that. Solar eclipse, I think I knew it was a solar eclipse too, but an International Day of Yogi, yeah, at the end he mentions those 4 that we've already talked about. Father's Day, so yeah, I didn't know about these other ones, but those maybe don't have too much to do with the practice of the Dhamma or reflecting on the Dhamma. Maybe they do, but anyway, so anybody have any last questions that anybody wants to ask? You can quickly write that down on the chat. Or otherwise, let's take a few minutes break to use the restroom if you need to, or take a drink of water, and then come back. And if there's any further questions, I could try to address those. Or otherwise, we would start some yoga exercises and the meditation. Okay, I'm going to turn off my video for a few minutes. Okay, so we're back online here, and I see that there's a few questions. So I'll try to. Are there any specific yoga exercises to overcome sleepiness? There's a pranayama exercise to help you sleep, but no, to overcome sleepiness, it depends. You know, there could be a couple of different factors involved, but especially in meditation, keeping the back straight. So you really got to check that. And because most people do not sit really with a straight back, a perfectly straight spine and head. And you have to find the center of gravity. Imagine a rod going right down through the top of your head, down through the spinal column to the base of the spine, and you know, not allowing you to bend or anything. And then you would probably be sitting pretty straight. That's one of the most effective ways, because especially when you're doing meditation, you know, probably 95% of the people are not sitting in what I would consider, and even myself sometimes I can notice, you know, I've subtly gone forward, and even just subtly straightening up just an inch or so can make a big difference in the awakeness of the consciousness. And so if you have some deformity, like if you have, you know, difficulty sitting straight, which a lot of people do, of course, and especially keeping the chin up. And I tell people, get a neck brace. Go to the medical store, get one of those neck braces that have a cushion on it, but that keeps your chin up like that. And even though it might look foolish, looking foolish is better than sleeping or having a dull mind. Or you can sit up against a wall and kind of touch your hip bones to the wall, and then move the whole back until the back of the head touches the wall. So the wall is normally straight. So if your hip bones and then the middle of your shoulder blades and the back of the head, those 3 points, if they're touching the wall, then that's a straight posture. And try to maintain that until you kind of burn that image, or memorize that feeling of what a straight posture is. You'll be able to remember it later on. So, or balance a stack of books on top of your head. That's also good. I mean, if you're home and alone, no one's going to see you. So, take some books if you know you have a problem with that, until you're able to maintain that position. It's almost impossible to go to sleep when you are sitting straight. And again, it takes effort, but a lot of people don't want to put in the effort to do it. So they just accept kind of a mediocre level of meditation. So that's probably the number one best thing. And of course, doing, there's no necessarily one exercise, but one's especially with the flexibility of the spine. So the spine is the most important organ in the body. So, to do exercises where you're flexing the spine, you're doing like forward bending and then backward bending. So you're arching the spine up forward and back. So you're flexing it that way. Then also like side bending, where you're bending to the side. And so that gives a different kind of stretch. Like what I do here with you at the beginning of meditation. I always go through a couple of these exercises. And there's another one where twisting, where you're twisting to the sides. The spinal vertebrae get laterally twisted. So you're flexing the spine in all those 3 different ways, so that you're getting a lot of blood that draws the blood into the nerves. That's where the nerves are located, along the spine. And that's what needs to, you need to be bathing the nervous system in oxygenated blood and so on. So that, and then your body feels more alive. And that helps you to keep awake when you have this feeling of, aliveness in the body generated through either the meditation or through the yoga. So, and also, just, simple one is just head turning like that. Even if you feel sleepy in meditation, you can try just a neck exercise, like, turning the head turning from side to side. But you can also do kind of stretching the head back and then pressing the chin to the chest to stretch the neck that way. So you're getting that blood flow, from the body between the head and the body. So any of those things you can try out. Can you say some words about why slow breathing leads to concentration for beginners? Because breathing and thoughts are related. And so the quicker you breathe, the more active the mind is. It's an excited state. And so by taking a deeper, slower breath, like taking 5 or 6 seconds just to breathe in and feel that gradual expansion and holding the air in, and to reduce the rate of respiration from the normal 15 times a minute down to about 3 or 4 or even 5 or 6. And if you can maintain that for 5 or 10 minutes, that changes the whole blood-brain chemistry of the body to a more relaxed one. And there's something called the parasympathetic nervous system and the sympathetic nervous system. So the practice of yoga and deep breathing, the sympathetic nervous system is the fight and flight response, the active state of the nervous system, whereas the parasympathetic is the more mellow one. And so in meditation practice, normally you gradually shift out of that sympathetic response to the more mellow and relaxed reserved response, which comes from mindfulness. So that's one of the reasons. Even the Buddha in his instructions, he always talked when teaching Anapanasati and so on, he always started with taking long breaths. Although he didn't say take long breaths, but he said, breathing in long, one knows one's breathing in long. Well, you don't know you're breathing in long unless you're doing it deliberately. But anyway, there's debate on that amongst teachers. But anyway, being a yogi myself and practicing, I like to interpret it that way. Even if you're just, taking 6 or 9 breaths, deep, slow breaths at the beginning is enough to kind of, and doing the slow breathing, it keeps your mind focused because you have to concentrate to do that. You have to be aware of the muscles that are being used in breathing, the expanding of your abdomen, rib cage, and chest, and you have to sit straight. So it forces you to concentrate in the body. And when you're holding in the breath a few seconds, that's also takes all of your energy and it's right there in your face. So that's why, I feel it's a very good practice for beginners, to set a good foundation. But, people have to practice it and see for themselves whether they're getting benefit from that. This question, it's important to meditate twice a day, in the morning and evening. How about practicing mindfulness throughout the day? Hey, how about it? Of course, absolutely, to use the new kind of idioms. Yeah, I mean, that's why the M&Ms, why I always teach the M&Ms at the end of a retreat, to remember people, that between your longer periods of meditation, you've really got to do that, because that's the best way to close that gap between infrequent meditation periods. Even if you just learn to train a pause, come back to just take 1 or 2 or 3 deep, slow breaths and just sort of stop what you're doing, touch base with that present moment awareness, and then, continue what you're doing again. But to do that as often as you can throughout the day. That's really, or practice specifically walking meditation, at certain times. You get up in the morning, and instead of rushing to the bathroom, practice walking meditation for a minute or two to walk toward the bathroom, or from there to somewhere else. Whenever you have a couple minutes, instead of just idling the time, looking around, and, there's ways that you can always do these little aspects of practice, and it all helps, like little raindrops collecting from a roof, dripping down. Just a couple of drops is not going to quench your thirst, but you get a lot of them, and you get enough to quench your thirst. So, yes, practicing between the longer meditations. The longer meditations will help you be more mindful when you get up and go out, but then the continued mindfulness during the day, well, when you come back to meditate, you'll much quicker get back into your good meditation space without having to fight so much of whatever the negativity and rushing around you might have been doing throughout the day. So each of those helps to strengthen the other one. Sitting meditation helps you to be more alert and mindful, so it'll come back in the day, but then doing it during the day, then all of that accumulates. You sit down again at night, and then you'll have a better meditation. And then when you have better meditation, you'll feel like meditating longer, because it feels good. Says, for 8 years, I've had many digestive symptoms, burps during meditation. Is this normal? Burping, well, I wouldn't say it's normal, but maybe after eating, depending on what you eat, and I don't know the medical reason for burps, but there probably is one, or could be worse, something going out the backside, but yeah, see if it's something to do with when you eat too fast, or something else you eat. Maybe you got heartburn, or you eat the wrong kind of foods. So anyway, you can just be aware of that, and see other way. Some these things happen sometimes. So just be mindful of it, but try to pay attention to it and see if what it's due to. Ask your doctor why you burp. And thank all of you for your kind birthday greetings. There's one question at the end. Could you offer a one-day retreat with some talks online and suggestion of an agenda for individual practice? I know other people have been doing that. Of course, this program on Sundays is, we have a talk and meditation, so that's almost a kind of a mini one, of course. But, people have to, create the energy to just keep repeating it, re-listen to another Dhamma talk. All these Dhamma talks have been recorded, and not only by myself, but other teachers, listen to a Dhamma talk and then meditate right after that. If you can do that for 3 or 4 times a day, that will be like a mini retreat. So I don't know, maybe it might happen sometime, but we'll see. In the meantime, try to at least, do that much, to use these Sunday programs to hopefully stimulate your practice, and then try to meditate once or twice a day and do those M&Ms. I don't know if you can do that much. Basically, it's like a retreat, especially if you're not working in and around your house. Or read some sutta, or just be quiet. If you're living with people, just tell them at certain hours you're going to observe silence, and things like that. So a person can, do that on their own if they, have that determination. Okay, right, Fabiana? Okay, friends. So looks like that's all of them. So we'll go ahead and now we'll do a few of those stretches as I mentioned, and then have our guided meditation. Again, thank you all for your kind greetings today. Just relax your arms and shoulders at the side. Just feel your feet pressing the floor. Just mentally feel the standing body. Then begin some slow, deep breathing. Try to take 3 or more seconds to slowly breathe in and hold air in your lungs for 3 or 4 seconds if you can. Then slowly breathe out, pausing for a second or so before breathing in again. Even if you can do even just that much, you would reduce your breathing rate down to, and what we do, all these exercises and that kind of breathing, you learn that, then you'll get your breaths down to 4 or 5 per minute. So anyway, on the next in breath, raise your arms over the head, interlock the fingers, turn the palms up, stretch the head back, stretch the hands up, straighten the arms, feel the sensations. On the out breath, turn the palms down, touch the top of your head. And again, in breath, palms up, straighten the arms, head back, hold it. Out breath, touch the top of the head. Again, in breath. Stretch up, hold it longer. Try to hold it in 5, 6 seconds. Feel the sensation. You release the fingers on the out breath, arms back to the sides, relax, just gently close the eyes, try to feel that the increased sensations generated by the breathing and the movement. It's a combination of doing those movements with the breathing, give the strong effect of arousing the body sensations, the vibrations, being the activated cells of the body. Just keep the mind in the present moment, letting go of your thoughts. Standing, standing, standing. On the next in-breath, push up on the toes while raising the arms up like this. And stretch upwards, face the palms together about 6 inches apart. The out breath, come back down, arms to the side, heels to the floor. In breath up, use the breath to help lift up the body. Stretch. Out. Once more, in. Out. Relax. Just keep the mind in the body. First stage of yoga, keeping the mind in the body, feeling the body. So many different little sensations, especially with the yoga, the idea is to activate so many sensations, so it's easy to keep the attention focused inside. There's nothing to feel in the body, then it escapes into fantasies or thinks about somebody else's body. You have to make the body an interesting place, comfortable place to hang out with awareness. Okay, on the next in-breath, raise both arms up over the head. You keep the fingers and the arms straight, close to your head. We do the side bending. On the out breath, bend over your right side as far as you comfortably can. And keep the arms parallel to each other. In breath, lift up. And the out breath, the other side. In breath up. Again to the right, out breath. Lift. And once more to each side, out breath. The out breath, lower both arms. Relax. Let's try to feel the whole body. Remember standing, standing. We will finish with the head turning on the in-breath, turn the head to the right. Try to look over your right shoulder. The out breath all the way back to the left. Look over the left shoulder. In breath back to the right. Once more to each side. Let the head stop in the center. During that yoga session, all our breaths were done in that slow, deep way. You should be able to feel some effects from doing that. That concentration, always keeping your mind in the body. You're already kind of in a meditative state. So go ahead and sit down for sitting practice. I'm going to be turning off the video again. Just get comfortable in your chair and try to sit straight. Even if you have the chance, if you're at home, you have a wall and you want to practice sitting straight, you can sit up against the wall, place the hips, the shoulder blades, and the back of the head against the wall. And feel what a really straight spine is. And then gently close the eyes and just feel the weight of the body pressing the floor. Feel that solid contact with the buttocks and the feet pressing the floor. recognizing that as the earth vibration. Feel a sensation. And feel your hands and fingers touching. They're touching together or they're resting on your leg. Or feel some sensations in your fingers or hands. A subtle tingling or pulsation. Where the hands touch something, that's also the earth vibration. And relax the shoulders. Feel the weight of the upper arms hanging from the shoulders. Feel where the skin, clothing touches the skin of your shoulders, or arms, or chest. It's also the earth vibration. And feel the head balanced on top of the spinal column, keeping the chin lifted up. Kind of just move the whole head and backwards a little bit until you come near that tipping point where the body might feel it's going to tip backwards. But just pause short of that. Just try to hold that position and feel that position. And feel some sensations on your face, prickling sensations. Feel where your lips touch together. Your nose. The tongue laying in the mouth. The ability to feel these different spots is good awareness training. Now feel the eyes resting in the socket and the eyelids stretched over the eyeballs. And from that point behind the eyes, see if you can kind of sense that general outline of the sitting body. Head there on top, the arms at the sides, buttocks and feet underneath. The clothing touching the skin on different places. All of those different sensations form the perception of the sitting body. Just let the mind merge into that. Just be with that sitting body. Just sitting, sitting. And again, begin some deep, slow breathing like we were doing in the yoga session. See if you can, if you can't breathe that slowly, then a little bit faster than that, but at least somewhat slowly. Feel that whole in-breath, expansion of the in-breath. Hold the air in the lungs 2 or 3 or 4 seconds. Feel that present moment pause. And feel the relaxing contraction of the out breath, following the contracting out breath down to the in to feel the last bit of air go out. And a brief pause and the next in breath. Just breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, sitting here and now. Sort of cultivate that basic mindfulness. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, sitting here and now. You're breathing in, feeling the whole body. Breathing out, feeling the whole body. Now we're going to count the breaths from 1 to 10 to try to gain a better concentration. You can continue to do the deep breathing if you're not tired from it. Or you can relax it to a, not so slow of a rhythm, but slow enough that it helps you to stay concentrated. Just with the next incoming breath, mentally count 1. Feel the pause. The outgoing breath, also count 1. Ride that outgoing breath down to the in. Feel the brief pause. And the next in breath, counting 2. The out breath, 2. In breath, 3. Out breath, 3. In breath, 4. Out breath, 4. In breath, 5. Out breath, 5. In breath, 6. Out breath, 6. In breath, 7. Out breath, 7. In breath, 8. Out breath 8. In breath 9. Out breath 9. In breath 10. Out breath 10. Now discontinue the counting, discontinue controlling the breath. Just let the breath return to its lesser uncontrolled rhythm, but continue to follow it, feel it with awareness. Keep the attention focused in that same general area. Feel the subtler movements of the expanding and contracting of the abdomen, rib cage, or chest. If you want to focus at the tip of the nose to feel the touch of air going in and out, you can try that. Just knowing when the breath is coming in. Notice the brief pause. Knowing when the breath is going out. The brief pause. During the brief pauses, try to feel the outline of the body. Remember you're sitting. Just breathing in, sitting. Breathing out, sitting. Keeping the mind within the sitting body. Merging the mind back into the body. You're just breathing in, feeling the whole body. Breathing out, feeling the whole body. In the brief pauses between the breaths, when you feel the sitting body, check the posture. If the chin is drooping downwards, mindfully lift it back up straight. Refine that center of gravity of the head and spine. See if straightening up the body has some improvement in your awareness. Just continue developing that mindfulness of the breathing body, whether it's just the breath body or it's the breathing and the rest of the physical body. Being alert for the hindrances arising. Various thoughts. restlessness, drowsiness. The concentration is the ability to stay continuously connected to the breathing body. The mindful alertness, mindfulness noticing any hindrances arising, the wisdom understanding them, letting them go, the right effort of letting them go. Try to notice how each breath is different. Sometimes it's longer, sometimes it's shorter. Or if you have too many thoughts, you can go back to counting the breaths from 1 to 10 on your own again. Try to develop a better concentration. Breathing in, sitting. Breathing out, sitting. Keep bringing the mind back to reground, center in the breathing body. Or from time to time, take a few deep, slow breaths to help stay grounded, centered in the present moment. Feeling, noticing subtler sensation. Be alert when body irritations pull at the mind, itching, biting, stinging sensation, other discomfort sensation. Know them as impermanent. Be aware how they change and vanish quite quickly. Just maintain that connection with the breathing body. If the mind is calm enough, not too many hindrances, just allow the awareness to slowly open, turn up the power of the mental microscope to notice more finer body sensations or thoughts coming and going through that breathing body awareness. Gradually opening up to the flow of impermanence, developing that moment-to-moment concentration, Kanaka Samadhi, ability to note and observe things coming and going without carried away by them. If there's any sounds there where you are, also sounds just arise and vanish. Or same breathing body awareness. cultivating that insight. This body exists just to the extent for gaining mindfulness and wisdom, not clinging to anything coming through the senses. Let's try to get a sense of that kind of union of the body and mind, sitting there together. The mind within this breathing body. We try to identify the aggregates, all the bodily sensations. It's just the aggregate of material form, material vibrations, and their feelings of being painful or pleasant or neutral, the aggregate of feelings, and the perceptions and mental identifications, the names and labels of body parts or objects, the aggregate of perception, or any urges to do something or thoughts about them, volitional formations. And the sense of I that I'm meditating, hearing, seeing, tasting, feeling, thinking, consciousness. 5 aggregates all there in one place. Breathing in, feeling the whole body. Breathing out, feeling the whole body. Sensations come and go. Sounds come and go. Thoughts, ideas come and go. Dhamma reflections come and go. This is all just the continuous state of change and flux of the five aggregates flowing through the awareness, present moment awareness. Who is the owner or controller? Seems just to come and go, do its thing under its own power. You're just the silent witness, or awareness and wisdom is the silent witness. Awareness doesn't need anybody or person or to own it or control it. It does very fine by itself. Just mental bubbles of hearing, seeing, smelling, tasting, touching, thinking. Just coming and going to the space of present moment awareness. That's seeing things as they are. A vision of Dhamma. Sabbe sankhara anicchati. Sabbe sankhara dukkhati. Sabbe dhamma anattati. Yada panyaya pasati. Atani bindati dukkhi. Isamago visuddhiya. All conditioned things, the five aggregates of this body, mind, and world are impermanent. And all impermanent things have clung to with ignorance bring suffering. And all the Dhammas are without any ultimate owner or controller. They're not mine, not I, me, or mine. When one understands this with the eye of wisdom, one becomes disenchanted with suffering. This is the path to purity, to freedom. And thus spoke the Buddha, the awakened. Now, friends, let's spend the last few minutes sending out thought vibrations of metta towards ourself and all other beings. Let's combine that with some deep, slow breathing. So again, takes a few deep, slow breaths. After breathing in, hold the air in the lungs as long as you comfortably can. Imagine the oxygenated blood going out to all the cells of the body, tranquilizing them, healing them. Just imagine that like the metta, nature's metta to your cells in the body. On the out breath, feel that relaxing contraction of the out breath. And just take several more deep, slow breaths like that. Sending out metta toward ourself and others. On the in-breath, thinking these thoughts towards oneself. On the out-breath, imagine sending these thoughts outward toward all other beings. So in the next in-breath, thinking, may I be well, peaceful, and wise. And on the out-breath, thinking, may all beings be well, peaceful, and wise. On the next in-breath, may I be free from greed, hatred, fear, and ignorance. Breathing out, thinking, may all beings be free from greed, hatred, fear, and ignorance. Breathing in again, thinking, may I be free from the various pains and sufferings of body and mind created by unskillful thoughts and actions. On the out-breath, thinking, may all beings be free from pains and sufferings caused by their unskillful thoughts and actions. And breathing in, may I have the strength, patience, mindfulness, and wisdom to meet and overcome all difficulties in life. And breathing out, may all beings have the strength, patience, mindfulness, and wisdom to meet and overcome all difficulties in life. And breathing in, may I be well, peaceful, and wise. Breathing out, may all beings be well, peaceful, and wise. I'll try to take a few more on each out breath. Just imagine these vibrations going wider and further out across the whole earth and the world and beyond. May all beings be able to live peacefully and harmoniously together, understanding the ultimate interconnectedness and interdependence of all things. May all beings be well, peaceful, and wise. Okay, then for those who like to join, we chant the sadhu on the out breath, on a long out breath. Chant 3 times sadhu. Breathe in. Sadhu. 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 Okay, and one more in breath, and stretch the head back, arch the lower back, hold it a few moments. And lift the head up, and on an out breath, press the chin to the top of the chest to stretch the neck vertebrae. And lift the head up level on an in breath. And relax on the out breath. So friends, thank you for joining us today to celebrate in our own way the International Day of Yoga, including our parents and our metta meditation. I'm thanking you for your best wishes for a long life and health for this 5 aggregate body and mind. I wish all the same for you all. And, keep up the M&Ms. And, the thing is, you've got to just keep feeding your mind with thoughts of the Dhamma. That's the only way the mind is, the mind can only contain so much things. And if it's containing a lot of Dhamma, there's no much time left for negative, harmful types of thoughts. So that's why, the more you meditate, even in meditation, you get insights, which is a kind of a thinking, and that's fine, to reflect. You get an insight, you take time, even during your meditation, to reflect on whatever that insight might have brought you, and gradually you take some deep breaths and come back into the silence, continue on the flow of awareness. You might get some other insights, reflect on, because all this Dhamma reflection is not lust. It's not a distraction. Only in the very, latest levels of it. But even we've seen in the Anapanasati Sutta, even just before liberation, you're contemplating cessation, relinquishment, and knowing that, Nibbana is the state of peace. These are kind of perceptions and thoughts. These are wholesome ones that help bring the mind closer. Okay? So, all the best to all of you. And perhaps we see you on Wednesday evening or next week.